timber destroying wildlife at its best. Hi guys, it's Mike here from KS Bushcraft Down Under. Today I thought I'd rattle you out a review on getting the right car camping stove for you. So I suppose I've been battling at this for 40 odd years, and I've certainly tried most of the gear that's out there. Now what suits me mightn't suit you. So this is based on one or two people, because that's usually how I travel with, and in really remote places in Australia. So not internationally. If it was an international thing, I would probably recommend you to go multi-fuel, petrol, diesel, kero. In Australia, I'd probably go gas for the simplicity. But I'm going to go you through some of the stoves I've been using for the last couple of decades and help you make the right choice for yourself. So I think we'll start off with the fuel. Okay, so we'll start off with the obvious. So LPG in Australia, butane propane mix. Basically cylinders of various sizes. The smaller they are, the more they cost to refill per weight. And you get your left-handed 3/8 thread, such as this little one here. So this is a left-handed thread, gas thread. And your standard hole fitting. Now in Australia, one was the large external threads we only see on forklifts and stuff. So basically, these are your fittings. You can get an 8.5 kilo cylinder, large in this one. Personally, I don't like carrying them. In some states in Australia, you are limited to, I think, 2 or 3 kilos inside the vehicle. In my case, a utility, it doesn't make any odds. So these are the two most common fittings for the refillables. Now, in some remote parts of Australia, not even not that remote, to get one of this size, they charged me $35, and I could get an 8.5 kilo filled up in Perth for 25, I think. So if you get caught out with the gas, it's going to cost you. So these multi-packs of cylinders, which I can buy at my local Bunnings, which is a bit like Walmart, I can get 4 of them for about $5. So there's nearly a kilo of gas in these 4 cylinders. This is actually the cheapest way of buying gas. So then we move on to these 1 pound Coleman cylinders. Quite handy, not easily available for me. I've got to search them out. And when we move down to the backpacking sizes, even though this is the larger one for backpacking, this is $16.50 for one of those. Right, so that's your gas. Now gas has the advantage, it's easy generally. There's no faffing around with it. Then methylated spirits. So this is my old fuel bottle. As you can see, it's had a hard life. It's done a few thousand, 100,000 kilometres off-road, but still holding up. Credit to Sig on that one. And this is a little Trangia bottle. So meths certainly has its place. I was a bit late to the party getting a Dometic Origo stove. I'd never seen those marine stoves until I tried one, but they are now out of production and highly sought after. So that's left me with a problem now. Is I've got a stove I can't replace if it gets stolen or damaged, and it makes it a bit more valuable than I'm really comfortable leaving it laid around camp. And then we have liquid fuels. So for many years I travelled with a MSR XGK stove. It ran petrol, kero, diesel. If I was an international overlander, that would be high on my priority list. In Australia, it's a great backup. it does have that fiddle factor, you know, that you really need to know what you're doing with it. So not suitable for kids or stuff like that. So there's a basic background. Now, a box of solid fuel, always useful. The way I see stoves and basically every piece of kit, when one is none, two is one. So it's always good to have a backup, especially when you pack your car. You basically need a portable brew kit that you can get to at any stage. You can pull over the side of the road, have a cup of tea or coffee, or whatever, easy. So these days I now carry my MSR reactor, which is windproof, stormproof. It's compact enough, I keep it in a little bag behind my seat with tea, coffee, sugar, milk, whatever. And I can get that at any stage, because most of my cooking and camping gear gets packed away in a little portable kitchen set these days. So having it becomes a backup until it's easy to get to at any stage. So I'll start going through the stoves in probably in the order I started using them and how I'm continuing to use them. Okay guys, the single burner screw on the top burner. So I did basically 2 laps of Australia with one of these, and for a guy travelling on his own, I found it was more than adequate. It did everything I wanted it to do, and it's got lots of advantages. One, you screw it on the cylinder, that protects the O-ring inside from drying out and cracking. It protects the jet from crud, and really it's that simple. It doesn't have the world's greatest heat control. Now this is a Primus brand one. In Australia I think the Coleman sell them as well. That one is 7,000 BTUs. Now, most people don't understand BTUs, so I'll convert it to watts for you. So basically, you divide BTUs by 0.293 to give you watts. Most people understand watts. Most people are familiar with kettles and stuff. So 7,000 BTUs, 2,000 watts. Okay, so this one, as they go, is quite a powerful one. I picked this one up at the flea market. This one is only 5,000 BTUs, so a serious difference. So 5,000 is 1,465 watts, so a much less powerful burner. But what I like about it, you can take a variety of pan sizes. There's nothing restricting it. Now there's very little wind protection, so that's an issue, especially in Western Australia, but you can pick and mix whatever pot you want. It doesn't have the world's greatest heat control, like regulated stuff, and but if simple as what you want, simple and reliable and cheap, this is a good setup. Okay guys, we'll move on to the single burner with the disposable gas cylinders. I had a look at the date on this one. It was built in the 7th month 1999, which should be about right. So I got it in the early 2000. When I first saw these, I was at the caving club. Someone brought one in and I thought, God, what a lot of rubbish here. Then what really impressed me was the simplicity, the heat control, and the price point. So these sell for about $25, and you can pick up a 4-pack of the cylinders for about $5. You know, incredibly durable, and what I like about it, anyone can use it. If you can use a stove at home, you can use this. It can handle a good variety of pot sizes, so not restricted in that case. And its value. Now it does suffer in the wind, so this heat shield I got from Drifter in Australia, and I think if you're a weekend warrior or a casual camper, this is brilliant. I honestly didn't expect it to be as durable as it is. So this one is 8,000 BTUs, so 2,345 watts. It's a powerful single burner stove. Now if it has one drawback, and it's not so much of a drawback for where I live, is the relative small capacity of the cylinders. These cylinders chill down. Now in cold weather it means that, say you brew up the a big kettle the first time, if the air temperature is sort of below maybe 5 or 10 degrees Celsius, that cylinder chills off and you lose a lot of the flame strength. So what I tend to do, if that happens to me, I flip this cover back and I pour some hot water directly over the cylinder, yeah, and that sorts that problem out. Or you can just change out to a cylinder and come back to it later, or shove it down your shorts if that's what it does. But really, a lot of bang for the buck. Now, what I do with mine, if I'm carrying this, I carry one of these adapters to one of my backpacking stoves, so I can use those cylinders on this stove. So if you have a catastrophic failure in this stove, I've got a backup, and it's always good to have a backup. Okay guys, moving on to the Coleman Power Pack single burner. I actually really like this stove. So it is 7,500 BTUs, so that's 2,100 watts roughly. Great flame control. It is regulated. So the advantage of regulated, it doesn't rely on a very small jet to mix the gas. So you tend to get much better flame control. It's big enough that real pots and pans will fit. Big bonus. Now, obviously, if you can get these cheap enough and available enough, it comes with a regulator designed to go onto these bottles. So, nice big flat seal there, and some form of silicon based seal to the stove here. So unfortunately they're, for me, not easily gettable. So you can get an adapter hose, so that's all brass at this end, but now this hose is under high pressure because the regulator is there, not on the top of the bottle. So if you look at that O-ring there, even though it's seen very little use, it's all cracked up. So this is something you need to keep on top of, especially with high pressure. With the regulator stuff on the low pressure side, not so much, but that hose and everything else is at high pressure. So that's something to keep in mind, and keep your O-rings checked. Now that's an O-ring that you're not going to pick up at the local hardware shop up in Muckenbudden. So we'll move on to its 2-burner variant. Okay guys, this is the Coleman compact 2-burner stove. Now each of these burners is 7,000 BTU, so a fraction smaller than the single burner. There again, using the same regulator. Now the 2-burner, I don't have a high pressure 2-burner to show you because I don't own one. So this stove, pots this size, no problems. Like my camping pots, yeah, that's doable. Even that's doable. So that's a good size pot. But just say you're frying for a family, not doable. That lid doesn't go completely flat, by the way. So the other things, which is a lot of gas stoves share this problem, a lot of stoves share this, is the knobs are exposed. It is lightweight, and the gas connections. Now if we look at this O-ring on the back here, it's had it, which I just noticed myself then. So this is the stuff that you've got to keep up. I mean, this has had very little use, and basically that's not safe. So not worth repairing it in my opinion. So you must keep an eye on your stuff, guys. Okay guys, if you want my opinion for one of the roughest and toughest gas stoves, it's one of these little cast iron fellas. So I've noticed it's all covered in grit. I'll have to give it a good clean from my Dirk Hardog trip. Now this hose and regulator, so this hose is at low pressure. You would find this at any hardware shop in Australia. As we do the hose, it's common to all our gas barbecues. These tapered seals here, easily available any hardware shop. I have a couple of spares in my kit. Now I use this as a backup burner, great for heating water for camp showers and stuff like that. there again, there's no wind shielding from it, but it can handle any size pot you want. And if I was to have just one gas stove for going out bush with, it would be that one. So I have a cast steel plate to sit on top of this that I use as my barbecue, because I don't have enough room for a Weber BBQ or something or other. I probably wouldn't bother to carry on if I did. So a steel plate for that, which also doubles as my jack plate in case I get bogged. Absolutely fabulous piece of kit, guys. I really am. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Okay guys, moving on to my methylated spirit stove. This is a Dometic Origo 3000. That means it's a 2 burner stove, obviously, 1, 2. Now, I have a single burner as well, which I bought first. This one I bought at a flea market for $20 and just couldn't resist it. And it's a great stove. Unfortunately, out of production. Originally a marine stove, great for confined spaces. Now, a litre of methylated spirits for me in town, about $3.50. So 1 litre is more than enough for a weekend away. Now that burner is 7,000 BTU, so 2,000 watts per burner. Some people say it's really slow. I've not found that at all. It can handle real size pots. It's got a lot going for it. Now it's easy to use, turn it, light it. It's got good flame control. If anything, its downside is these knobs are vulnerable and probably difficult to get hold of now, but very little to go wrong with it. There's no gas cylinders, there's no pressure. It is an incredibly simple stove. So these, I can see it, I can use that pad. This is the only one that's been used. So spring loaded. There's your heat control and snuffing. It is a brilliant stove. I really like it. Unfortunately, I can't replace it today. Well, I thought I'd film all the backup stoves, if you like, in one hit. So remembering, never put all your eggs in one basket. So MSR XGK, be about 25 years old now. This is a liquid fuel stove. It can be made, it has interchangeable jets, and it can run on petrol, Caro, diesel, possibly rum and coke on a bad day. It requires a fair bit of skill and a bit of knowledge to keep it going. If it's running on shellite, which is pure petrol, never have any hassles with it. Running on Caro or diesel, it needs preheating and a bit more work. Incredibly robust bit of kit. Flame control, not so hot. But when I was travelling with a petrol powered vehicle, it was my hiking, camping, backup stove, and around camp if I needed the second burner. So if you've only got a one burner primary stove, you could use one of these to assist you if you're having a more elaborate meal. Right. So there again, pretty cool. The old folding hexamine stove. Well, there's not much you can say about it, but it's always good to have a way of making a real wood fire, and in this case solid fuel tablets are brilliant for that. It'll make up a brew for tea or coffee if necessary, and it doesn't cost much. I never leave home without one. So in this case I've got an MSR pocket rocket. Combine that with a pot and either the expensive fuel cylinders or with the adapter and using the cheap ones, so $16.50, $1. And brew ups at the side of the road, whatever, or you ran out of primary gas, all good. Spending more money, the MSR reactor. That's my favourite cold weather hiking stove. Doesn't care about the wind, the cold, boils water really fast, all in there. Basically you just need a cigarette lighter to light it. And then the old Trangia. Now I've done a lot of international travel over the years with a either Trangia 25 series or 27 series. I prefer the bigger one, or the military Trangia. And the pots, everything's in there as a complete system. You just need some meth. There's not many places in Australia where you can't buy methylated spirits. So all those there are great backup stoves. Okay guys, to round it out, I thought I'd show you a few odds and sods, which I think it's well worth it. You figure out what you need. So if you've got a high pressure camping stove, definitely have spare jets. So this is for the smaller 5,000 BTU stove, but having 5,000 BTUs is better than having no BTUs. They pretty much fit all the high pressure stoves. So doesn't take any room up, never goes bad. Have some spare jets for your stove if it uses them. Okay. Now all these little rubber bits, the seals, even though these have just been sitting around, now change your O-rings. When your hoses get to 5 years old, change them out. Especially if they're under high pressure. This is a high pressure lead, this one. This one also has a jet in the end. So change out your hoses. Now I like to have adapters with me. So there's a box of them. Now most of these I need to sit down and put new O-rings on them before I pack them away again. So I've got adapters. So this one here is for the 1 pound propane bottle. So I can go from that to 3/8 and 3/8 to pole. So I can use that on anything. And the same goes in the opposite direction. If I've got a full cylinder with a pole and something that runs one of the companion fittings, I can do that. So a few adapters, doesn't take up much room. So make sure that all your gas cylinders fit all of your products and vice versa, and it'll give you a bit more duality. But don't rely on just the one stove. Have a backup plan. So I've got a new gas stove coming. I've ordered it from America. It's a bit of an ouchie one, but I think it's going to be good. Anyway guys, if you like the content I create, feel free to subscribe, helps me out greatly, and we'll catch you next time.